It sounds to me like you are more worried about inflation than recession.
No, I think either one can cause a lot of trouble, and recessions can turn into depressions. I mean,
Warren Buffett rarely sits down for interviews these days, but recently spoke with CNBC about the cracks that are forming in the economy, including a new warning about further banking failures caused by distress in the commercial real estate market. Not only is Warren Buffett arguably the greatest investor of all time, he's someone to pay attention to through this financial crisis because he's historically owned a huge portfolio of banks. Well, that was until recently when he sold almost all of his bank investments out of fear of the exact problem that we see today.
So you noticed it, you saw it?
Sure, I noticed it.
Is that why you sold so many of the banking stocks you own?
We had held some of them for 25 years, but I don't like it when people get too focused on the earnings number.
Today, I'm going to be sharing some clips from this latest Warren Buffett interview where he spoke a lot about the banking crisis and how it's unfolding, as well as what he sees coming down the road in terms of inflation and the broader economy. Also, I'm trying to hit 200,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you'd like to help me achieve that, the best thing you can do is go below this video and hit that subscribe button. And besides, you'll probably want to be subscribed if you like Warren Buffett content, because I'm going to be covering a lot of exciting stuff over the next couple of weeks that you certainly don't want to miss out on. So make sure you're subscribed, and if you want to be notified, the notification bell next to the subscription button. The failure of regional banks in the US, such as Silicon Valley and Signature, and of course the much larger global investment bank of Credit Suisse, is all anyone has been talking about in the finance world for the past 2 months. And now, of course, with the benefit of hindsight, we can see pretty much exactly why it happened.
Well, I would say that some of the dumb things that banks do periodically, has become uncovered during this period, as one banker told me one time, he says, I don't know why we keep looking for new ways to lose money when the old ones are working so well.
Banks, just like other businesses, are run by people who are susceptible to greed and other pressures such as short-term investor expectations. And we're honestly kind of fortunate that the problems we're seeing in the financial institutions today are absolutely nothing like what happened 15 years earlier during the global financial crisis.
They haven't made the same sort of mistakes that they made back in 2008 or 9, but they have mismatched assets and liabilities, and bankers have been tempted to do that forever, and every now and then it bites them in a big way.
Silicon Valley Bank invested a large amount of its deposits into long-term treasury bonds at ultra-low interest rates, which meant that if interest rates rose rapidly at the same time as their customers increased withdrawals, they wouldn't have enough money to pay their customers. SVB's executives basically made a bet that interest rates wouldn't rise, and they did. A lot. And very rapidly as well. But what made this problem even worse was the temptation for some of these banks to use accounting principles to hide their underlying problems.
Accounting procedures have driven some bankers to do some things that may have helped their current earnings a little bit and caused the recurring temptation to get a little bit bigger spread and report a little more in earnings, and it's entered in a result you could predict.
What Warren Buffett is talking about is an accounting rule that allows banks to hide unrealized losses that they had on their bond portfolios. As interest rates rose through 2022, the value of their bonds on paper declined significantly. Unrealized losses mean that the bank hasn't actually lost any money yet, but if they chose to sell those bonds on the open market, they would then experience those losses. However, since the banks planned on holding these bonds until they matured, where they wouldn't receive any losses, they didn't have to report the losses in, say, 2022 financial results as an expense. And this problem was amplified by the fact that executives were essentially incentivized to hide these losses, because if they had reported these losses, their expenses would have been higher and their earnings or profits would have been lower. So they're incentivized to actually hide these losses, or at least delay them as long as possible. What's particularly surprising is the fact that hardly anyone saw the issue coming, including government stress tests to detect banking problems, and even the financial analysts whose job it is to know everything about banks.
But the banks did not call attention to what they were doing. Financial analysts are the people who follow banking, and Nobody even brought up the point.
But while most people completely missed the problem, Warren Buffett actually saw it coming.
So you noticed it. You saw it?
Sure, I noticed it.
Is that why you sold so many of the banking stocks you own?
We had held some of them for 25 years, but I don't like it when people get too focused on the earnings number.
While none of the banks Buffett previously owned faced the specific problems that SVB had, the reason he sold them was for the same reason. The banks, to varying degrees, became more obsessive over short-term profits rather than sticking to fundamental banking principles. So with that in mind, does Warren Buffett think that people should be worried about there being further cracks in the financial system? Just before I get to those clips, I do want to quickly talk about the sponsor of today's video, The Daily Upside. The financial media landscape is enormous. You have cable networks, newspapers, YouTube channels, TikToks, all shoving sensationalist headlines down your throat, so it can be really difficult to find real reliable sources of business news and information. So one of my favorite sources of news and business stories is The Daily Upside. It's a totally free financial brief that is sent to your email each morning and covers the most important news and stories relating to investing and the economy. It's concise, informative, and witty, and leads you into more detailed stories from around the globe. There's coverage of corporate news, the economy, policy changes, and investing news, all coming from a team of financial professionals. I personally read The Daily Upside every morning to figure out what's moving the markets that day, and ultimately to find unique stories and unique angles to create content for you guys. For example, The Daily Upside had a great article talking about Warren Buffett's recent Japanese investments. In fact, those investments are the entire reason why Buffett was sitting down for an interview which took place in Tokyo. I won't be covering his Japanese investments in this video, so if you want to see the full story, I highly recommend you read the Daily Upside's article on it. So whether you're someone who works in finance or just wants to get a jump start on finance news, the Daily Upside is a great way to start your day. It's totally free to sign up, and they send you one information-filled email each morning. Join the huge number of investors who trust the Daily Upside and sign up via the link in the description.
People shouldn't be worried about losing their money and the deposits they have in an American bank, and today they have no reason to worry.
There are a number of differences between the banking crisis today and the ones of the past, but the most important distinction is the protection systems that are in place today, such as the FDIC.
The FDIC is in effect, a very peculiar mutual insurance operation that is run by the government but is financed by the banks.
One of the biggest misconceptions about this banking crisis is that once again the US government is using taxpayer dollars to bail out these executives and shareholders of big corporations and banks. But that's actually not true at all. The FDIC stands for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and while it is a government agency, it's funded entirely by the banking sector. Financial institutions in the United States are required to pay into the FDIC's fund, and if one or more banks face some kind of problem where customer deposits are at risk, the FDIC will use those funds that have come from financial institutions to cover customer deposits. At no point is the government using taxpayer dollars to cover deposits, and certainly shareholders are not getting any bailouts. The shareholders at SVB will lose everything.
Well, they should lose money. I mean, I don't have any problem with people losing money if they do dumb things.
But the system, of course, isn't perfect, and one of the bigger issues is of moral hazard. Technically, banking executives are working on behalf of shareholders, but there's a pretty large disconnect between the two parties, and it often means that executives bear little of the responsibility for the mess that they themselves actually created.
They've got to have something to lose themselves. I mean, in 2008, all kinds of trouble was caused by the banks, but no bank executive, they all continued to live fine. You know, they may have lost their job, but they get their pensions.
So are we through this banking crisis, or is there more trouble coming down the road?
Well, we're not through with bank failures, but the depositors haven't had a crisis. The owners of banks may have lost a hell of a lot of money, but the depositors aren't. And so you don't need to turn a dumb decision by managers into panicking the whole citizenry of the United States about something they don't need to be panicked about.
Buffett believes it's possible that we could see more banking failures in the coming months or years. And it has a lot to do with cracks forming in the commercial real estate market. Commercial real estate, or office space real estate to be specific, is facing two key problems at the same time. One is a declining demand for office space since the pandemic accelerated work from home options for businesses, and the other is rapidly rising interest payments on their loans. According to analysis that has been done run by a number of very respectable investors such as Jamie Dimon or Steve Eisman, there is a large portion of commercial real estate projects which were started with extremely low interest rate debt which will be rolling into much higher interest rates within the next couple of years. And that leaves banks with another problem if a lot of those loans end up in default.
Well, let's say they lose $100 billion in the banking system. Most of the banks can take that loss, their share of that loss, and a few of them, because they did other things, their shareholders will end up losing the money, but the depositors won't lose money. But if those rates change, let the person who bet that they wouldn't change lose money.
In this case, banks willing to lend out money for commercial real estate projects that just don't make sense in a higher interest rate environment will ultimately have to take on those losses.
Well, it gets back to that old story, when the tide goes out, you learn who's been swimming naked.
To turn away from the banking sector for a moment, Warren Buffett also gave his insights on what he sees happening with inflation, which has been improving in the US, but still remains a very big problem. And if we look elsewhere, such as the UK or Europe, is a very, very persistent problem. As of March 2023, US inflation fell to an annual rate of 5%, a steep drop from the 9% rate recorded just 9 months earlier. But the UK just recorded 10.1% inflation, and Eurozone inflation is almost 7%. And Buffett says there's one key underlying factor that creates the inflation we see around the world.
It's fun sending money out to people if you want to stay in office and you want their vote, and that's always been a problem.
Buffett points to government spending as the underlying driver of inflation in most circumstances. Inflation comes from some sort of imbalance between supply and demand, and the factors of the last couple of years have been the perfect storm for an inflation crisis all around the world. There's been reduced supply as manufacturing slowly recovered after shutting down in a large way during COVID, and that's combined with excess demand as people have received huge stimulus from the government while staying in their homes and being unable to spend it. So you have excess cash, people with a massive desire to spend money after being locked in their homes, and very limited supply of goods and services is just the perfect storm for rapid inflation. And I think sometimes people see, 4% inflation, 5% inflation, and they just see it as this small number and have a hard time really appreciating the massive impact that that little number can have.
The price level was probably 15 times what it was when I was a kid. And so the interesting thing is the price of the Coca-Cola is maybe twice or something like that. The price of the New York Times has gone up 40 for one or 50 for one. I mean, it's a very uneven thing.
The headline inflation figure is really just an average, and different things will experience different levels of inflation. So depending on your specific or your household's specific circumstances, you'll be feeling inflation to a greater or a lesser degree. For example, in the current crisis, a person who has a variable mortgage on their home and say drives a lot for their job will have experienced a much greater increase in the cost of living as compared to someone who say owns their home outright and rides their bike to work.
Have we seen the worst of inflation? Is it rolling over? Is it coming down steadily?
Well, inflation is always a possibility, and by inflation I mean extreme inflation.
Inflation is one of those factors that we just can't predict. It's always a possibility, but we can't know for sure that it's coming down the road. But as Buffett said earlier, the US has always done a pretty good job at dealing with inflation, and the same can be said for Australia too. So all you can really do is make sure that you are financially prepared for things to get worse temporarily. We don't know that they will, but you want to be prepared, and that might include looking at your expenses, tracking your expenses, and reducing unnecessary expenditure, and then using that additional money to continue to build an emergency fund. Not because we have some kind of crystal ball and we know things are going to get worse, but because we don't know if things are going to get worse or not. At the end of the day, you'd rather go outside with an umbrella and not have to use it than find yourself without one standing in the middle of torrential downpour rain. A reminder to check out the Daily Upside. It's a completely free newsletter. First link in the description below. And if you're not subscribed already, make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more of the Warren Buffett content that I'll be covering over the next couple of weeks.